There are hurdles, there are handicaps, and there are hardships we have to face in life, but we hope for a great future. Hello, it is another weekend update here on CBI Community Network. I am Juliet Omer, your host on today's program. And with me is Mr. Mustafa Muhammad Mustafa. You're welcome, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm fine, and you?
Sure, the hunger going on is not really ravaging you that much.
Well, it's okay because for us, we are assured of a better tomorrow. We continue to tell Nigerians to be hopeful as much as we are telling Nigerians to be hopeful. We know we have better days ahead.
Alright. So tell us as a convener, tell us what you see and what pushed you into such activist program.
Yes, um, as a person growing up, I've been opportune to have certain values. Then those values will get me to a point. Then I'm a professional accountant.
Okay.
That is by the way. But this very grooming came even when in my first degree in University of Benin, people will call to tell me, we want you to come and run and be Speaker, Student Parliament. I think it was always like a thing of, do I really have the time? Books, books, books. But it got me to a point after my first degree, seeing things in the country, how they were, then reading a lot of books on martial arts, what it take to make contribution to the society, what it take and how it is. It was a very great chance for me to say, okay, it's a good thing for me to contribute
Okay,
my
look,
quota.
all right. Now, looking at that now, we see the hardship going on in the country, and so many government has come with different policies that has to do with poverty alleviation. We see the 1976 policy of then military government of Olusegun Obasanjo bringing in Operation Feed the Nation. Then we still see that of ex-president Goodluck Jonathan of Shopee in 2012. Then coming to ex-president Muhammadu Buhari, we saw the Empower. All this in bid to alleviate poverty, most especially that of the President Goodluck Jonathan when he clamored to remove the fuel subsidy. Now, let's analyze the lapses and derive a sustainable policy which will help us to ravage or curb the incessant hardship the citizens of Nigeria are facing today.
Yes, most countries, you take Japan for example, after the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, nobody thought Japan could come on its feet today, becoming one of the challenging world power economically and militarily. There are certain things that we know in our own country here. During the time late President Murtala Mohammed came in, all these signs were already showing their head. Before the 1966 coup, these were sure signs people like Uziogu Kaduna noticed. Now, there were questions, how do we solve these problems? That was why that coup happened. Across the whole country, it was a welcome development, though the coup succeeded in the north and failed in the south, hopefully in east and west. But coming to this very question, there were what rheumatism, as propagated by Murtala Mohammed, X-ray to curb the problems we are facing today. Fine. At the end of the day, President Murtala Mohammed will be assassinated. Olusegun Obasanjo will take over. Then, if there was Operation Feed the Nation, you realize over time this was not sustained. And by a wave of hand, this were a discussion we had with certain people. The latest disagreement between the masses and the government that will make masses to be on the street was the NSAS.
Okay.
You realize that the problem then was NSAS, end police brutality. But it metamorphosed into Nigeria voicing their mind, saying one or two things, which will have the opportunity for the Ninth Assembly to organize a forum to know the problem of the people. The problem of the people till now has not been diagnosed. Diagnosed in the form that you come to the round table to say, this is it, this is it, this is it. Then how do we nip it on the bud? Let me take you back to history. River Nile remained with Egypt. They were confused, they were hungry, not knowing what to do. The policy will come. Who are those people who are best thinkers? Come, let us reason. That was how they came about having canals, then irrigation, then the kind of mechanized farming that started happening then, apart from the kind of subsistence farming that was happening. You come to think about of it. Now we have a lot of machine work and all that. I don't think you can look around the country and say this is a policy of a government from that very particular time when there was Operation Feed the Nation that was sustained till now. No, it is not there. It is not the deficiency of the government alone. The people of a country can choose a cause that will bring about development. Like we look at and say, fine, we see what has happened in Malaysia, we see what has happened in Singapore of Lee Kuan Yew. These are leadership traits that you come about when we mention rheumatism. After rheumatism, what was the policies did not work? Yes, but already we are taking people far back. That is why we mentioned 1996 coup. There were things already noticed that will bring about failure in institutions that will eventually bring us to where we are today.
All right. What we are trying to derive here is what can we do to curb this very menace? As a convener and as an accountant, and you've been to so many public programs, what do you think the present government should have done? Because each day that passes, we experience more hardship than we ever thought.
If the president is listening and will listen, earlier we talk of pragmatism, we talk of meritocracy. Now, when we talk about meritocracy, a lot of areas where people begin to talk based on emotions, it's supposed to be my brother, it's supposed to be my sister. We digress. Imagine till now we've not had anything happen in Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs after the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs was charged with certain fraudulent activities. These are key areas. You don't expect Tinubu to come and be deciding A plus B to Z in that very particular ministry. We expect whoever is assigned to that very particular ministry should have a policy statement that is workable in the 774 local government of the country. People are talking about palliative.
Okay, looking at it, look, let's go to Lagos State, where Governor Sanwo-Olu now made a policy that the workers should be 3 days on and 2 days off. Then for the teachers, they should go through the 5 days working days, but they are going to be giving them some palliatives in order to keep them in class. Looking at this policy, do you think it's going to be sustainable for the years he will stay in office and even after he leaves office?
You see, for me, a lot of our politicians today are opportunists. From 15 years back, I have been telling Nigerians what Agberoism is in the political system. Yes, Agberoism. Where you have muzzle before sense. Where Nigeria is now is for us to tell ourselves the truth. We should be seeking of how to manage what we have, applying more sense.
Okay.
Relating to what you just said. Now, if you are asking people to sit down at home with this very kind of period we are, meaning you are encouraging redundancy. We have complained about the labor laws in this very particular country. Go to neighboring African countries or you go to West. There are people who put in 4 hours a day in a particular job, still have another 4 hours in other jobs.
Yeah.
Okay? This make the system to be efficient. This is the very, very time we need for us to look at issues. What do we do? Okay, if I'm asking you to sit there at home, how can you be productive to yourself and also be productive to the very federal government? Where we say, okay, now we will need to feed you. How do those 2 days you are going to spend at home be effective for you to feed yourself? If it is 1 tuber of yam, you are contributing to the system.
Same.
So for me, Sawolu has not gotten it right. Maybe he needs to sit down with some persons to think clearly with him. Because looking at Oti of Abia
Yes,
State,
governor of Abia State.
we are happy that a thing like that is happening. A failure, I think I should say a failure on the part of Edo State government. Because when Obaseki was singing 3-4 years ago that he's building a plant, Osium and all that, we were expecting him to have commissioned something before now.
Okay.
The selflessness of a leader will materialize when you see physical investment making life easy for his people.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them don't know what leadership is. And we continue to encourage them. We continue to encourage Nigeria that there is a divide. The government and the ordinary people.
Okay, let's look at what the INEC said just on the 23rd of February. INEC here admitted that indeed there was actually glitches in uploading the 2023 presidential election.
Yes.
They admitted it. They said this is due to inherent complexity in the system.
Good.
But the question here is, just a few days ago, they just concluded the Edo State primaries.
Yes.
So what are the measures that should be put in place by INEC and its electoral umpire in order to avoid such challenges again? When we see the IREF as a reliable source of uploading electoral and election results in order for credibility to be achieved. Now, very soon, the Edo State government will go into gubernatorial election proper. So how can the IREF and INEC itself curb these challenges in order to give us a free, credible election in Edo State?
Good. You see, I know we are touching bits about what is happening in the country. Yeah. I think as the president of Hardship People Solidarity Front, I was the only person that wrote to BC Accounting Commission telling them 2016, even 2020 to give a second chance of first refusal to Governor Obaseki when he was having crisis with Senator Adams Oshiomhole. Okay. Now, what are we saying here? Also, I can also reflect at our talk at press time, telling INEC that the election may not be managed properly by you people as the political umpire in this very election, weeks before the election, citing what happened in Oshu election. That INEC didn't come to tell us that these were the flaws, but the tribunal did. Okay. That was a sine qua non for us to tell them that we are not sure that they could manage that very election properly. Okay. But for me, what happened that very period happened. But the institutional failure we are complaining, people not looking at tomorrow. What do we leave for this very country? For me, it was a very big credit for them to be able to conclude the election. But the election process was not properly managed, which was something we said before the election. When you have a responsibility, you put a spread, making experiment, getting feedbacks, and relying on what should be your adaptation, which we have not seen till now.
All right. We'll be going on a break. When we come back, we'll still talk on this but international policies, ECOWAS, and the lifting of sanction from Burkina Faso, Mali, and Guinea-Bissau. All right, we are still on the program. We'll be going on a short break. When we come back, we'll bring you more updates for this weekend. Stay connected. Welcome back to the show. We are still here with Mustafa Ahmed Mustafa. So we are still on the show. We have been talking about the weekend updates and what it has been in the Nigerian government up to date. You're welcome back, sir, on the show.
Thank you.
All right. Before we went on the break, we're looking at INEC and its lapses in the 2023 presidential election. That's the general election. Let's leaving the local politics now. Let's go to international politics in the ECOWAS community as a whole. So we see the ECOWAS chairman, which is our president Tinubu, and all other ECOWAS officers and officials lifting ban on Burkina Faso, Guinea, and Mali. According to them, they say that it is a time of Lent and Ramadan, so they want to incorporate them back into the system. Before then, there has been a clash between this very member of ECOWAS community, which is their claim is that the Western world is taking more from their people, neglecting their rights and royalties, which led to the clash, and it was termed a terrorist act. So let's look at this now. Do you think ECOWAS have gotten it right, owing to the sovereignty they have as an international organization, which led to the challenge that made Mali and Burkina Faso engage in such a coup?
Well, the truth about it is, ranging from Nigeria and other West African countries, the leaders should know how much culpability we see them. That we say African leaders are not thinking of how they should be responsible to the ordinary citizens.
Okay.
And that is the feeling of every country in the Sahel, ranging from Burkina Faso, you call it Guinea, Mali, and Niger. Now, the misplaced priority was for them to think they can intimidate Niger, not minding what was going to happen. Fine. Thank God that at the point we are, they are calling themselves to order. One, in Nigeria, I don't think the people of Nigeria feel the impact of ECOWAS. That is the truth. Now, in the Sahel, these four governments understand that they have not felt the impact of ECOWAS. And the impact of a government should be interpreted by the ordinary people. And that is what is obtainable in the West, where people in the streets understand that their day-to-day life is guaranteed. Their well-being is guaranteed through feeding, shelter, maybe health. But these things are not being considered by African governments. Then if you look back, now I'm sure the leadership of ECOWAS through Ahmed Bola Tinubu is getting to understand what is happening. Because what happened in Niger happened a few days after he was just getting into the seat of governance in Nigeria here and taking over ECOWAS. For me, this very decision is a very good omen. And I have always told Nigerians that what is happening in the Sahel currently and what is happening across the globe now should be taken advantage of. And I hope the president of this country will take advantage of that.
Now, still on freedom fighting, we saw the Yoruba Nation activists, that's Sunday Adeyemo, that is it. Sunday Adeyemo coming back home for the burial of the mother.
Okay.
Being that he has been granted amnesty.
Good.
Yes. So now let's consider that Sunday is a Yoruba Nation activist.
Yeah.
And we also have Nnamdi Kanu in prison.
Yeah.
So if the federal government or looking at ECOWAS, has lifted sanction from these countries. Don't you think same should be done to these people who have engaged in freedom fighting?
It's a very great appeal to the federal government that at this particular time, there are certain things to negotiate. Things to negotiate, like I said, even before the election. Freedom must be negotiated. The voice of the people must be listened to. We are urging the federal government without delay to process certain amnesty policies that will favor the tension that has been in the East by releasing Nnamdi Kanu. And we continue to tell Nigerians that Nigeria is a place where we need to put our hands together to make a nation. Because one, I said it earlier, the building of a nation is not only the sole task of people in the hands of government. Those who are in the hands of affairs in government have their role to play. The ordinary citizens have their role to also play. Taking, for example, the apartheid South Africa was not ready to go, but the people of South Africa were resilient with the voices that were coming, majorly from places like Nigeria, that there must be end to apartheid. Yeah. Then the people of the country took it upon themselves at each level to contribute, and I think that is what has grown South Africa today. Yeah. Then if you go to West, same thing in a place like America. America has grown because people of diverse orientation, different background are coming and making their contribution, not just as the government, but as ordinary people living in that very particular country.
Oh, all right. In a short period, we'll be running the program. So, as a convener and as what you are and what you represent, what do you think the present condition of this country will be anticipating in the next 4 years?
In the next 4 years, we are hoping for a better country. Okay. Yes, because there are policies. When we talk about policies, there are turnaround policies that will manifest all this. If you look at Niger, most of their activities are on the mining sector. And I think the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is also looking at that very direction differently. Okay. But the people of this very country have a great deal to contribute to what we should have to have this giant leap in the next few years.
Okay. All right. Thank you for being on the program today. We hope to have more of you in subsequent programs.
Thank you. Thank you. Right. Thank you, Julie.
All right, to our viewers out there, this is where we call it a day on today's program. Do wait to subscribe to our social media handles showing on your screen. Till we come your way next weekend, I remain Juliet Onwumere. Bye for now.